Beginning with the Indus Valley civilization today. What's the reason to start with the Indus Valley civilization in the ancient history part is Indus Valley civilization and Vedic civilization are very important in both prelims and mains. You can expect the questions in prelims and also in the mains. Even in the recent 2014 GS1 paper, there is a 10-mark question from the Indus Valley civilization. So we have to go in a deeper part not to lose the marks because it's a gunshot questions we can expect in the mains and prelims also. So starting with the Indus Valley civilization, if we go to the introductory part, in most of the books you can't see this introductory part which is missing with the connections. I think this is the best way in the evolution part. So starting with the Charles Mason, he first described the ruins of Harappa in the period 1826 to 38, but its significance was not that much realized. And the next one is in 1857, during the time of British authorities, in the construction of the Eastern Indian Railway line, when they are connecting the Karachi and Lahore, they came to know about these Harappan bricks. So this is the second step in the evolution part in the Indus Valley civilization. And the next one is in 1912, the Harappan seals, which are unknown symbols, are discovered by this person called J. Freed. In this connection, it triggered an excavation campaign which was conducted under Sir John Marshall, is the director of ASI Archaeological Survey of India at the time during the period of 1921 to 22, and the final result was the discovery of a unknown civilization which was discovered by Dairam Sahni in 1921. And the next one is in 1931, in which most of the Mohenjo-daro part was excavated, but some minor campaigns continued to play. It was continued up to 1950 by Mortimer Wheeler. And finally, what happened is the partition of British India in 1947, in which the total area of Indus Valley civilization was divided between Pakistan and India. So this is the evolution part from the beginning to the independence time. What happened during the Indus Valley civilization excavations. So here are the figures regarding this evolution part and the person who excavated or discovered the Indus Valley civilization, which is a great civilization even now. So here is a person called Charles Mason. He only the first person who described the ruins of Harappa. But what happened is its significance was not revealed or not realized. And the next one is during the time of construction of the Eastern Railway line by the British authorities. It was the second phase, and the third phase was by J. Freed in 1912, and his picture was not there even in Google, so I missed it. And the next one by Sir John Marshall in an excavation campaign in which there is a discovery of this great civilization by Dairam Sahni in 1921. He is Mr. Dairam Sahni, and next it was continued by Mortimer Wheeler up to the independence period. So this is the evolution part from the beginning to the independence period of Indus Valley civilization. And the next one is, let's go through the pre-Harappan and the Harappan cultures and its dates and futures. So totally there are four important phases of evolution. The first phase of evolution between 4000 BC and 1800 BC. Actually it was a Neolithic age. It was mostly concentrated in the Baluchistan and Indus plains. And what are the major towns you can find in that phase is Mehragar and Kiligul Muhammad. These are found in Baluchistan, and also you can find the pastoralism with limited cultivation and also seasonal occupation in these areas. And the most important part is the emergence of permanent villages. Most of the people before are nomadic, and from here you can see the emergence of permanent villages, and also they cultivated wheat, barley, dates, cotton, sheep, goat. And also you can see the mud houses, pottery and crafts in which they resemble the traditional culture during the period. The next phase is between 2900 and 2500 BC. This is known as the early Harappan period, and most of the settlements are in hills and plains, and also you can see the largest number of villages. And here you can see the use of copper, wheel and plow, and also you can see the extraordinary pottery forms. This is the beginning of many regional traditions. This point is very important. And also you can see the transformation of rural to urban life. And the best areas during this period are Amri and Kodiji. This is Kodiji, which is in the figure. Amri and Kodiji are the major places during this period. And also you can see the granary, defensive walls and long distance trade. Even the time the trade is there. And also you can see the uniformity in pottery tradition. This is what resembles the tradition culture during that phase. And also you can see the origins of motifs like people, humped bulls, even cobras and also horned deity. So these are the key points during the second phase or the early Harappan period. And going to the third phase of evolution, this is called as mature Harappan period, and you can see the large cities here. Here before you saw the rural to urban life, and here there are large cities, and also you can see the uniform type of bricks, weights, seals, beads and pottery here. And also a planned township, long distance trade, and the best example for this phase is Kalibangan. Here you can see the long distance trade also. Even before there is a long distance trade, but here there is a planned township which resembles the urban life. And the next one is in 2000 BC onwards, and this is called the late Harappan period. Here what happened is many Harappan cities or sites got abandoned, but also you can see the continuation of Harappan crafts and pottery tradition here. Here somewhat it resembles the village cultures of Punjab, Satluj, Jamuna divide also. The main one is the Gujarat imbibes the Harappan crafts and pottery tradition, and the best example for this is the Rohtal. Rohtal is a best example during this phase. You can see the seaports and the world's first tidal port here, and also with the artificial dockyard. So next one is the Bronze Age people built up the great civilizations and made significant contributions. Let's go in detail about this. The first one is the Mesopotamian civilization and the river Tigris and Euphrates, and the second one is Egyptian on the river Nile, and Chinese civilization and Hangzhou, and the Harappan civilization on Indus. So this is the word mnemonic for this, Mech. Please remember it as Mech. You can find it easily. So let's study about the Mesopotamian civilization. Even you can expect the questions relating to the contemporary civilizations of IPC. That's why I made some detailed explanation on Mesopotamian, Egyptian and Chinese civilizations. Even they can ask questions like compare and contrast also between Indus Valley and Mesopotamian civilizations, or Indus Valley and Egyptian civilizations, or Indus Valley and Chinese civilization. If a question comes like this, it will be very difficult without the conceptual learning. So let's go in detail. What are the features of Mesopotamian civilization? And the first one is on the river Tigris and Euphrates, which is the modern Iraq. So some confusion will be there between Iran and Iraq, but it's Iraq. And here the river Tigris and Euphrates flooded during the time they deposited the silt there, which is very fertile. And this fertile land resulted in increased food production. So due to this abundant agriculture produce, you can see a large number of craftspersons. There's a rapid growth in the number of craftspersons here. You can see the smiths, potters, masons, weavers, and carpenters here. So there is a broad base of craftsperson in Mesopotamian civilization, and also there is a system of barter system. And the transport and communication is through carts, wagons, boats, and ships. And also the script is there is a collection of symbols and pictures. Like here, it's a collection of symbols and pictures, and they drew page strike lines. And what we call the script is the cuneiform script. And in the earlier cities, there are small states and they have their own administration. This is a kind of monarchy developed in Mesopotamian civilization. And also you can see the ruling class here. There is a lot of difference as the upper and lower class. You can see the priests, kings, and aristocrats as the ruling class, and also you can see the other kinds of people as merchants, ordinary people, and the slaves. And these people worshipped many gods and goddesses like the sky, sun, moon, and fertility. But one unique feature is each city had its own patron god or goddess. So this is the worshipping style of Mesopotamians, and also these are the main features in the Mesopotamian civilization. And going to the next step, that is the Egyptian civilization. Here it's developed on the river Nile, which is a fertile land, and here the Egyptian kings were called the pharaohs. And you can see the ministers and officers, which they play a role of administrative part, and they administered the land and collected taxes from them. Here the priests, these guys enjoyed a high and honorable position in the society. And also the temples were dedicated to a particular god in each town and city. So here you can find a similarity between the Mesopotamian civilization and Egyptian civilization in regarding the worship, and also the ancient Egyptian script. It's like hieroglyphics. So this is the script of Egyptians. This is also pictographic. So some traders and merchants are there in which the business is carried both on land and water. So you can see some similarity between the Egyptian and Mesopotamian. You can see also the skilled workers who are the stone cutters and carpenters here, and also they have the knowledge of weights and measures, and they build the great monuments, pyramids. I think you know well about the pyramids. They believed in after life, after death, so they preserve the dead bodies, and they are called as mummies. The pyramids are built as tombs to keep the mummified bodies to the dead kings. This is what a very unique feature you can't see in any other part of the world. I don't know what the techniques they used or what are the chemicals they used. These are very unique kind of features. So you have to know well about the Egyptian civilization and also the comparison between Mesopotamian and Egyptian civilization. The next one is a Chinese civilization. So it was developed on the river Nile. Sorry, it's a river Hangho. And here you can see the first rulers as Shangs. These guys built the first cities in China and they contribute a lot to the art and culture in China. And also you can see the craftspersons who are the bronze workers, and these guys are great experts in their fields. The next one is the Shang dynasty. It was overthrown by the Zhous, and these guys built the strong forts and also the walled towns to make defend themselves from the invaders. And the next, the later phase of the Chinese civilization, there is a Zhou rule, and here the iron was introduced, and there is a complete end to the Bronze Age in China and the development of the Iron Age in China. With the help of Jews, they came to know about the iron culture. And the next one is in 221 BC. What happened is the Chinese rulers that came to power. And the main thing they made is the use of common language, common laws, and the common weights and measures throughout their empire. And also they built the famous Great Wall of China. So this is very important, the common language and the common laws and the evolution of the Chinese civilization. It started with Shangs, then came to Zhous, and then came to Qins. So after Qins, what happened is the Han Dynasty came into power and they ruled up to 220 AD. And here, what happened is that the Chinese traders had contact with the western part of the world through the famous Silk Road, and they also crossing the Central Asia and Persia. So the Silk Road came into action here by the Huns. So there is a development of the trade all over the world by this famous Silk Road. And coming to the worship part, they worship the ancestors, nature, and also the spirits, which are very common. And here the main person is Confucius. He's a religious preacher, and he preaches the system of the right behavior, and this massively influenced the Chinese society and government. And also he made a laid main emphasis on the good moral character and also respect to leaders and loyalty to the family and obedience. So these are the main features of Chinese civilization. Even we have to learn some features from Chinese civilization even now. Mainly the Confucius, who is a religious preacher and who preached the good moral character and respect to elders and loyalty to the family. So the next one is our great civilization, Harappan civilization. So let's look at the nomenclature of Indus Valley civilization. How it named the Indus Valley civilization? Because it's flourished mainly along the Indus and the Gagra Hakra rivers. And the other name is Harappan civilization. It was given by Sir John Marshall after the discovery of the first site, Harappa. Even the Saraswati civilization was given by him. So let's look at the main parts in Indus Valley civilization. So when did the humans migrate to India? It was during the period of 70,000 to 50,000 BCE. And the IBC is the first known civilization in India. The period is 2500 to 1750 BC, and the area covered is 1.3 million square kilometer, and the population is around 5 million, which is not a simple thing. It's really difficult to manage all the things with the population, and how they ruled themselves, I don't know. It's really a big challenge for them. So let's look into some other features in deep. So here most concentration of settlements is in the Gagra Hakra river system, and also the Harappa has the largest number of sites. Here you can see the people in the mixed race, and the mnemonic for this is A square M square, Australoid, Alpinoid, Mediterranean, Mongoloid. But here most of the from Mediterranean race. Even what we are now is also some Mediterranean features are there. So totally only 6 out of the total 250 sites are the major sites or the major cities. So let's look into the discovery part. The first one, that is Harappa, was discovered by Dairam Sahni in 1921, and later it was continued by M.S. Watts and Mortimer Wheeler. The next one is the Mohenjo-daro, which was discovered by R.D. Banerjee in 1922, and these two are the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The next one by Chanhudaro in 1931 by Majumdar, and the last Kalibangan 1961 to 69 by B.B. Rao and B.K. Thapar. Let's look into the main features in the Indus Valley civilization, why it became a great civilization, and why we are talking now also about this great civilization. And also, some features resemble the present culture or the evolution of the culture from Harappan civilization to the present culture. Let's have a look at those also. So coming to town planning. So here is a town planning structure of the Harappans. This is the basic plan of the Harappans. And also you can see the inbuilt picture of the town planning. You can see the main parts of the roads and the courtyards and also the streets here. And here it's a overall view of the Harappan city town planning. You can see the western part and eastern part and also the drainage system and the courtyards here and there. So the features are the grid system. So this is the main part, the grid system. The roads used to cut at the right angles at 90 degrees. And you can see the western side. This is a fortified citadel and these are the public buildings. So this is the western part of the city and you can see the fortified citadel here and also the public buildings here. And in the eastern side, you can see the lower town which is the House of Commoners. So this is the lower town and you can see the House of Commoners here. And they use a burn brick which is very unique and also the drainage system and the streets are of 30 feet length. And here there are some types of buildings here. Those are residential houses, larger buildings and the public buildings. So these are the main features in the town planning. And let's look at the economic structure of the Indus people. These guys mainly based on the agriculture part and their main crops are wheat and barley. Barley, these are rabi crops. And also they cultivated rice. You can find it at Rothal and Rangpur and also indigo at Roji in Gujarat, and well irrigation was also done at Aladinho in Sindh. And also they know animal rearing and these are the first to use the silver and cotton, but they don't know about the iron part. And internal trade was carried in South India, UP, Maharashtra and Bihar. And also there is a foreign trade between Mesopotamia and Egypt. The transportation is by bullock carts and boats. This is the major ways for the trading system. And also there is a barter system. What do you mean by barter system is just exchange of goods without the use of money. And let's look at the seals. These seals are made of steatite. And you can see square and rectangular seals. The square seal you can see the animal and inscription, but here in rectangular you can see the only inscription only. And what's the purpose for the seals is they used to stamp the bags those containing the goods and which was sent from one place to another. So after the bag was closed now, they used to place a layer of wet clay. It was converted as a sealing. And the main idea for them to conclude is if it is intact, the goods reach safely. The main purpose for the seals is the ownership. And here, the animal most encountered is a humpless bull. So these are the main features in the seals part. The next is script and the language. This is mainly pictographic and you can see varieties of animals like birds, fishes and also the human forms. And the most encountered animal is a fish. It is most represented in pictographs. And also you can see the signboard inscription of bearing 10 pictographs. It is found in Dharavira. Let's look at the political conditions. There is no clear-cut evidence, but we can imagine like there are some well-planned cities and excellent drainage system. Maybe there is a form of municipal government here, and also by looking at the fortified citadel, you can see the monarchical form of government. What about the religious conditions? The mainly is the female god, the mother goddess. It resembles the domination of females in Indus Valley civilization, and mostly it would be matriarchal because it is found in every house. Also, there is a male deity, this is Pashupati Shiva, and also the Yoni worship means worshipping the female sex organs, and also there is a worship of people tree and animals like pigeon and humpless bulls. They also believed in the ghosts and evil forces. That's why they used to wear the amulets, and they have the idea of yoga and meditation. So here, the root what we are seeing now, the yoga and meditation came from the Harappans only. And also they used to worship the fertility symbols like round stones and the peel stones. And the terracotta figurines. These are made of baked clay, and you can see the male and female figurines. And what's the pride of place is the great humpless bulls for them. And they also implement some new techniques in handicraft like the Cambrian prods and the seal carving. And also they know the technique of metallurgy also, and they used the copper, bronze, lead, and tin, and they used to get all these exports and imports by trade facilities. Let's look at the images. There are two types of images like metal and stone. From metal, the main thing is the bronze image of the nude dancing girl with right hand and hip. You can see it in the figure. And also there is a stone image. It's a sheeted image of bearded man at Mohenjo-daro. You can see it in figure here. And let's look at the pottery. They know the use of potter's ware. And the main thing here is a glazed pottery. It is the first of its kind in world. And there are two types of potteries like a plain pottery which is red in color and painted pottery which is both red and black in color. And what about the weights and measures? You can see it in the figure how they used to measure the weights. The basic rule is first doubling from 1 to 4, 8 to 64. The doubling part is done, and then in decimal multiples of 16. So these are basic rules they followed in measuring the weights. And also there's a other measurements, foot and cubit. Foot means it's like 37.6 centimeters, and cubit means 51.8 to 53.6 centimeters. And then the barrier practices. These are basically of three forms, and these are complete barriers, fraction barriers, and post cremation barriers. So barriers are of this type. You can find it in Surkodate as a pot barrier, and also in the Harappa, the graves are in the east-west axis. Normally, the other part of cities it's like north-south axis, but here it's very unique in Harappa. It's in the east-west axis. And what about the food? They used to eat the wheat, barley, dates, pork, beef, mutton, poultry, and also the milk and vegetables. So what type of dress and ornaments they use is cotton and wheel. Both cotton and wheel they used. And here there are two types. One to cover the upper part of the body, another to cover the lower portion of the body. And the ornaments used are gold, silver, ivory, and copper. Let's have a look at the public buildings. You can see the public buildings in the Harappan cities like fortified citadels, large pillar hall, great granary, great bath, and public granary. So these are the public buildings in the Harappan civilization. And the household articles. They used mainly the vessels of copper, bronze, silver, and painted pottery. And also there is evidence of glazed Indus pottery, which is a great part in the Harappan civilization, which is of the first of the kind in the world. And also they used to play the game of dice. And what are the different type of weapons they use is offensive weapons. These are not defensive weapons. They use the maces, axes, spears, bows, and arrows. And also defensive weapons are unknown to them. So there is a preparation of weapons from copper, bronze, and stone. So conflicts between the cities are very rare, and also you didn't see any war or regional conflicts between them. So there are some special features in some of the Harappan sites. Let's look at the findings or the things excavated in different sites. So from beginning with the Harappa, it's the first Indus site to be discovered. It was discovered by Dairam Sahni, and you can find the two rows of six granaries and also the largest number of wheat grains, red sandstone towers of Nool made, and the burial practices are R37 and the cemetery H type. So these are the things excavated at Harappa. The next one is Mohenjo-daro. This is the second site to be discovered. It was discovered by R.D. Banerjee in 1922. And what are the major findings here is great granary, great bath, multi-pillared assembly hall, and also you can see the first street here, the Pashupati seal. It's very important. The bronze image of dancing girl with right hand on hip, and the sheet-head image of the bearded man. What we discussed before is in the images part. And these are and also the three cylinder seals of Mesopotamia. It can resume the trade between India and Mesopotamia. And also there is the outbreak of malaria here. So malaria also started from here only in Rohtal. It was discovered by S.R. Rao, and you can see the artificial dockyard here. It is the world's first tidal port, and also it is known as a mini Harappa. And you can see the double barrier cultivation of rice, and mainly it is known as the Manchester of the Harappan civilization for its cotton production. And also you can see the copper furnaces, the chess game as a recreation for them, and also the fire altar. So in Chanhudaro, it was discovered by Majumdar. It's the only Indus city without a citadel, and also it is called the Lancashire of India. It flooded more than once, and you can see the most number of copper settlements here, and there is evidence of lipstick and cat's footprint also in Chanhudaro. So in Kalibangan, it was discovered by B.B. Lal and K. Ghosh. Actually, the meaning of the Kalibangan word is black bangles, and there is an evidence of earliest proud field here, in which there is a mixed cropping, and also the cylindrical seals are they found here, seven fire altars, and also the bones of animals. So these are the major findings in Kalibangan. The next one is Surkodata. It was discovered by Joshi, and there is an evidence of bones of horse here, and also the pot burial. Next one is Dhurvera, discovered by R.S. Bist. It is the largest of all the Indus settlements here, and here you can see the middle town, which is a three-part, third part, and most of the other sites is like only two towns. But you can see the middle town here. It is very unique and very important, and also there is a evidence of 10 alphabet signboard here, and also the traces of dam. It is completed by destroyed by earthquake, and also this is the biggest state found in India, and there is an evidence of water reservoir and stadium wall. The next one is Banwali, and you can see the most number of barley grains here, and also it is the only city with a oval shape. So these are the two unique features in Banwali. The next one is the Daimabad. It was discovered by Dawalekar, and here you can see the largest number of bronze items, and most of the findings are like bronze chariot, rhino, elephant, and bull. And the last is the Kodiji. It was discovered by Gure, and you can see the most number of stone settlements, and this is a city which is completely destroyed by the fire. So these are the main features of some of the sites, and what are the major findings excavated by historians. And from these we came to know all the different cultures of the people at the time, and that culture gave the base for the luxurious part also. So going through the geographical extent, this is the total geographical extent of Indus Valley civilization. It's concentrated mostly at this part only, in the northwestern part of India. So what's the impact of the Indus Valley civilization on the present India? This is very important because this is the connection between the past and the present. So what happened in the Indus Valley civilization? The main key features are they drew much of its wealth from the horticulture part, and their main crop was cotton, in which the trade was carried both internally and externally, like internal and foreign trade. And they believed to have the followed an authoritarian or theocratic system of government. It's just an imagination, but maybe it may be monarchical or municipal part of government also. And also they adopted Hinduism, in which after the arrival of nomads from the Central Europe, this religion was developed. So this is the past India. So like let's have a look at the present India. Here you can see the business part or the trade part. The main exports are the precious stones, petroleum-based products, software, engineering equipment, textiles. And also we shifted from the social leanings to the liberal policies, and we made a free market economy in 1991. So this is the kind of difference we can see from the past and now the present, and also you can see the democratic system of government now. So there is a recent study on Indus Valley civilization. What the scientists came to know is they confirmed that the IVC declined only because of the climate change. And also the scientists found a strong evidence from the Meghalaya, Oman, and Arabian Sea. And they came to know that there is an abrupt weakening of the summer monsoon which affected the northwestern India the 4100 years ago. So it totally resulted in a drought. It coincided with the beginning of the decline of metropolis buildings. And this climate change is the main reason for the total abandonment of the major cities in Harappan civilization. And finally, coming to the conclusion part, Indus Valley people gave to this world its earlier cities, its town planning, its architecture in stone and clay, and show their concern for health and sanitation. So these are the main features what we came to know, and what now we are implementing, now we are using, is a root from the Indus Valley people, and we came to know all these things from the Indus people only. And also there's enough evidence to show that some of the early conceptions of Hinduism also they derived from this culture. So the religious exploration also, mainly the Hinduism part, came from the Indus people only. And on the whole, the present civilization is a composite product of both fusion of several cultures in which their contribution is of utmost importance. So these are main suggestions from me. Here is the conclusion part. What I try to know is from the evolution to the present situation, we have to go through all the areas and what are the connections and all, so that we can come to the analysis part, and even we can expect some questions on compare and contrast. We can write it very easily. These things are very important, and these are mainly based on the keywords and the key lines. So these are stuff what I learned from the Indus people, and these key points are extremely useful for the mains and prelims also, and especially for the history optional people. These lines or these points are very useful for you. So thank you for today.